Coming up, I'll show you how to quarter out a deer so you can start to process your meat. So stick around. Hi, I'm the OCD Hunter, bringing you tips, tricks, DIY hacks, and other useful ways that my OCD can help make your life a little bit more simpler. Before we begin, let me first say if you're easily offended, turn this video off now. I'm going to show you how I break down or quarter a deer so it is ready for processing, and some might consider this graphic. So now I've given you ample warning and time to leave this video, so if you stuck around, it's your own fault. Now that I'm off my soapbox, for those of you who are interested, I hope that this and my future deer processing videos can help you to process your own game and help you save money as well as learn this valuable skill. I'm not a butcher, but I can get the job done. This is my second video in the series, and my first I showed you how to skin a deer. If you want to see my skinning video, click the link above or look down in the description. After the deer has been skinned and you have removed most of the fat, it's time to start preparing to butcher the meat. I've butchered deer hanging on a gambrel before, but I've found that it takes me a little bit more time. I prefer to quarter the deer or break it down into more manageable parts to make it easier to get the meat cut down into its choice cuts. Remember, this is one way of doing it, my way, and I'm not a professional butcher. This way works for my needs and my family. I normally use a fillet knife when I butcher a deer, but today I wanted to test out William Collins Master Woodsman 2. I wanted to see just how well it did butchering and how well the edge holds up when it hits bone. Now, as a result, certain parts didn't come out super great because of the lack of flexibility. One example would be the back straps, as you'll see. For me, I start with the flanks. This is the piece of meat that sits below the rib cage and joins with the lower two hind quarters. I'll take the knife down the back leg to the spine and slice down until I hit the bottom of the ribs. Then turn the knife and cut along the bottom of the rib. I usually put the flank into the grind pile for sausage. Next, since I've now opened the cavity for access, I remove the tenderloins. These are thin strips of meat that ride along the inside of the spinal cord. I'll slice up and over the top of them, then work the knife down the spinal cord. With these, once you get them started, you can almost just pull them out. These are super tender, and I usually slice them up and cook in a real hot skillet with oil and vegetables like onions and mushrooms. Next, I'll move to removing the shoulder. There's no bone connection from the front leg to the skeleton, so they are easy to remove. I just pull the arm away from the carcass and begin to slice up the armpit along the top of the rib cage. Unfortunately, my gambrel doesn't raise anymore, so I have to work low. As I make my way up the side of the beef, I continue to pull the arm away and cut all the way up to the back of the animal. It will come off in one section. You can see this section takes the whole shoulder off. I'll do the same thing with the other front leg, working up the armpit and slicing up against the rib cage until it separates. Some use these front quarters and cut them in two for roast. We're not much on roast in our family, so I just put these in the grind pile. Next, I'll remove the back strap. I'll follow the line from the cut of the flank up and around by the tail. Then I'll cut against the spine all the way down through the back. Then I'll go back to the original cut and work my knife down flat against the back of the animal to start to remove the back strap. For areas where the tissue is still connected to the spine, I just work those areas free as I pull down the back strap from the top. Now, like I said, the best way to remove these are with a flexible knife like a fillet knife. But I wanted to test out this Master Woodsman on the entire deer, so my back straps I removed weren't the greatest cuts. But who cares what they look like, they still taste great. Eventually, like the tenderloin, you can almost pull it free once you get started. I'll do the same thing for the other side. Start at the flank cut and cut up and below where the tail was. Slice down the inside of the spine and come back to where I started the first cut and cut flat against the back. These are just like the tenderloins, one of the best tender cuts of the deer. I'll cut these into steaks and cook them on the grill. You can see what I mean about being able to pull it off easily as it falls off as I try to hook it with my meat hook. Next, I'll remove the neck. I'll slice all the way around the neck at the base of the shoulder, clearing the meat from the spine. Then use my saw to cut through the backbone. This makes a good roast, but once again, I put this in my sausage pile because we're not big roast fans. Now, before I continue to quarter out the animal, I like to remove as much meat from the ribs and the spine as possible. Since it's hanging, it's easy to remove, and once done, all these scraps I get off the ribs and the spine, I'll put in the grind pile. Once I've removed as much meat as possible, I'll take my saw and cut through the pelvis, removing the spine and the rib cage, which leaves the two hindquarters. All that is left to do is use the saw to cut the leg off at the hindquarters. And there you have a quartered out animal. In my next video, I'll show you how to debone and butcher the hindquarters and prep for freezing. I'm the OCD Hunter, and I hope that my continual painstaking practice of changing, fixing, and improving on ideas will help you out in your endeavors. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell next to the subscribe button to get notified of new videos. Comments are always welcome.